All right, what's going on TikTok? It's your boy AMK Raw Al Moon here. As always, I have wisdom and things to explain to you guys, simplified. Okay, so let's just talk about dimensions. I feel like everybody has heard everyone's expression of these dimensions, but maybe if I give it, it'll be a lot more simpler to understand. Okay, let's tap into it. So the first dimension, right? The first dimension is a thought, right? This is a thought process, and that expands, right? So when you're thinking of an idea, right, you're all the possibilities and all the maybe I should do this, nah, maybe not, that becomes possible. Just because you didn't pick that one does not mean it doesn't become possible. And this is where the fifth dimension is going to tie into that. So keep up, okay? So the first dimension is the thought, the idea, right? The conscious of the thoughts, right? Then you got the second dimension. A perfect way to explain the second dimension, right, is when you take that thought and you write the blueprint on a flat paper, right? That's two-dimensional when it's on a flat plane, a flat surface, right? Now, this is why it's called now we're going to the third dimension. This is why it's called a 3D printer, right? Because it has depth, it has shape, right? And it has form. Now you're bringing it to life, right? This is where we're at. We're brought to life in the third dimension, right? We can move 360. We can look behind us. We can look in front of us. We can move side to side, right? We're limited, right? But not limited at the same time, right? Now we hit the fourth dimension, right? The fourth dimension is the time you finished or the time it took, right? Because the fourth dimension is where time comes into play. The fourth dimension is the time it took or the time you finished the idea, the blueprint, and the creation, right? Now the fifth dimension, remember all those possibilities that I said, all those thoughts you were like, well, maybe I should do it like this. Well, maybe we should do it like this. How about we do this? How about we do it like that? All those possibilities of the ones you wanted to pick, whether you picked it or not, becomes a possibility. So this is why I say in the fifth dimension, every single thing that you probably could have did or wanted to do is happening simultaneously somewhere else, right? And that's just the thought forms, right? So let's just say, I'll give you another example for the fifth dimension. I thought about being a rapper. I thought about being a fireman. I thought about being a policeman. I thought about joining the army. I thought about being the president, right? All those possibilities, because you thought of it from the first dimension, are somewhere it exists, right? And you, as the Mer-Ka-Ba, the ship, the 5D ship, right, can move through these dimensions and pick and bring those possibilities to life. So this is where all your possibilities in the palm of your hand, which one you're going to choose. Now, that sounds crazy, right? Well, let's get into the sixth dimension. The sixth dimension, right, is where the impossible becomes possible. Because remember, all those possibilities were the ones you could pick, right? Anyone you want. Now it's possible when you bring it here. So the shit that's impossible here is possible there. Not to get off topic, but a lot of people seen our ancient ancestors, right? You guys think Kemet in Africa. No, these were places that were in their consciousness that they shared because they're real worlds outside of this world, right? And they brought it here as a symbol to show you when you see this world, oh, I can recognize that world. You ever seen something and you just resonate with it and you're like, oh wow, why does this feel so familiar? Because you probably come from there. This is why those pyramids and everything you see, right? Those aren't the real places, but those are the things created for the places in the astral realm that exist. Now let's go to 7D, right? Seventh dimension, right? The seventh dimension is now we're talking universal. So now all those possibilities, all the impossible and the possible, now you're moving past time, right? Now you're not limited. This is the 3D, right? Now you're beyond 3D, right? Now you're beyond the flat planes, right? You're leaving out of here, right? Now you're beyond just your thoughts, right? You're above all that because we're in the seventh dimension. Now you're universal. This is why I say you are a universe. I'm telling you, nobody is going to explain this to you, right? These are the steps into becoming more than what God is. God is a level only here that is recognized by the consciousness. We are way beyond that. When you start thinking, I am everything, now there's no limit. When you think, oh, I'm only human, you're limited. Because only a limit can do so much. Spirit can do way more than what a human do. And remember, the spirit is trapped inside of a human's vessel. So let me not get off topic, right? Seventh dimension is when you become universal. All those things tie in, right? Now you can move wherever you want in the universe because the universe is inside of you. There is no universe without you in the verse, right? Universe, okay? Now, let's get to the eighth dimension. Now you're discovering what power is. This is why you're finite, you're infinite, right? That's what the eighth dimension is. That's why if you turn it sideways, an 8 is an infinite sign, right? Now you're infinite. 8 also represents power. Look this up. It represents power. So now you're tapping into your powers, right? You realizing you could do anything, right? You're moving, you're going places you want. You're taking things from other worlds and you're bringing it here. You leave, you can ascend here if you want. This is your power, right? Learn these dimensions because it's going to help you understand your body. Remember, you are a Mer-Ka-Ba. A Mer-Ka-Ba is when you bring spirit, mind, body all together as one. You have a ship. That's where the 5D comes in. You have a ship. If you guys purify, you will understand this body can do so much more than what you think, and you'll start having fun with yourself instead of having fun with the things that are outside of you. Why do you think they try to make things so much entertaining outside of yourself? Because the day you take that one moment and realize what the fuck you can really do, it's over. It's over. You don't need this world for shit at all. This is supposed to be a testing ground for you to find yourself. You know how beautiful that is to lose sense of who you are and find yourself again and become whole again with just yourself. That, like, come on, that's the best beginning, plot twist, and ending. That is the best story. This is why it's your story. It's not his story, it's your story, right? Now let's get to the ninth dimension. The ninth dimension, right? So now you got your thoughts. You're understanding the plane you're on, the levels you're on. That's the second dimension. The third dimension, you understand the depth, you understand the width, you understand the length, right? You understand the motion, you understand the movement. Let's go to the fourth dimension. You understand the time, right? And you understand how to move past that when you get to the fifth dimension, right? Now you got your ship activated, right? Now you're moving through these dimensions and you're moving beyond time, right? Now you're in the sixth dimension because what you thought was impossible is now possible, right? Now you're in the seventh dimension. You're going through the universe. It's like, fuck it, if I can go through these, let me explore further, right? Now you're expanding. Now that you're expanding, you're going to the eighth dimension. Now you have your power. You tapped into your fucking power, right? Now you're at the ninth dimension. Let's hit the big bang, right? This is where you don't got to do anything anymore. You've done it all because you are all. You just look at it and it happens, right? All you got to do is just look at it. You become the all-seeing eye. You look at it, it becomes that easy. Remember, because the 8 was where the power came in. Now just you observe and see, because remember, you are the observer, observing the observed. It's a wrap. Now that you know you could do it and you look at it, that bitch gonna happen. I want this car's blue, I want it to be red. Bam, the bitch red. I'm sick of this world, I want to go. Close your eyes. It's like Goku, when he hit instant transmission, that's the ninth dimension. I want to go. All he gotta do is feel it and see it. Bam, he's there. Open his eyes, you're there. That's how easy it is. It's like Beerus and Wiz. All they gotta do is look at it and it's done, right? You guys seen these powers in anime. They show it all the time. All you gotta do is look at it. Bang, it happens, right? You ever seen somebody fighting and the other dude, he's going crazy. He's like, right? And then the dude just looks and then they're like, oh, they start coughing up blood because he hit them. You didn't even see what happened. That's what the ninth dimension is. The all-seeing eye. When you have these dreams and you see other worlds, who's watching that world? You are the one seeing all those realities. You are the one seeing all those possibilities. You become the all-seeing eye. Wake up, the time is now to tap into your fucking power, all right? I would never lie to you. You can look up everything that I'm saying and come back and comment and let me know what you think, all right? I said.